So let's look at how they actually can begin, end, and also interrupt the sentence. So if I said, after he grills the perfect burger, Guy smothers it in his infamous donkey sauce, which is a real product in his restaurants. Um, I want you to notice that in this case, it starts the sentence. Well, how do I know it's an adverb clause? Well, just go through the process. Starts off with a subordinating conjunction after. It's on my list. It should have a subject and verb. He and grills has a subject and verb. It kind of answers the question of when. When does he smother it? It describes that verb smothers. All clues that we're dealing with an adverbial clause. Subordinating conjunction, subject verb, modifies the verb, answers an adverb question. Another example. I said, whereas snobby chefs scoff at lunch meat, Guy rolls it up and wears it on his knuckles. Once again, it starts the sentence. So you'll notice it has a subordinate conjunction, whereas, has a subject and verb. Snobby chef's verb is scoff, kind of describes the verb, rolls it up and wears it on his knuckles. And so in this case, works as an adverb, that verb, and we can actually move it around if we wanted to and put it at the end of the sentence. All clues that we're dealing with an adverbial clause. Adverbial clause can also be at the end of the sentence. As we know, we can move them around. They can show up at the end of the sentence. So I could say, Guy wants to be embalmed with his infamous donkey sauce when he dies. So here's our subordinated conjunction when, and it has both a subject and a verb. That is the fewest number of words you can have in an adverbial clause. 3. You have to have a subordinated conjunction, a subject, and a verb. So there it is. I could say, Guy likes to dress his fist up like a charcuterie platter so that he can tries to get it in English, so that he can nosh on it while he cooks. I even wrote this sentence. I'm not sure why I can't pronounce my own words. So in this case, here is this subordinate conjunction, so that, has a subject and verb, he can nosh, and therefore it's describing the verb, tells us why he likes to dress his fist up like a charcuterie platter, and it answers that adverb question of why, describes the verb. It's an adverbial clause. Did you notice one thing, though? Did you notice I also threw in a second adverbial clause? While he cooks. Starts off with the word while, has a subject verb, he cooks. So in this case, this adverb clause kind of describes the second adverb clause. And that's okay. As long as an adverb clause modifies the verb, it can almost modify any verb it really wants to. So that's what's happening here. It's an adverb clause modifying another adverb clause. And lastly, the adverb clause can be sometimes in the middle of the sentence. This is the rare one. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it does. So I could say, Guy's white spiky hair, because he grooms it with his infamous donkey sauce, holds up to intense weather. Regardless of where it's placed, it should still have all the parts. In this case, it has a subordinated conjunction, because, has a subject and verb, he grooms, and tells us why it holds up to intense weather, because he grooms it with this donkey sauce. And from the picture, you can see how thick that is, and that would do wonders for anybody's hair. Another example, Guy, although he looks and acts nothing like a hippie, occasionally gives a peace sign with his meat fingers. All right. And so this case has the subordinated conjunction although, and it has the subject and verb, he looks and acts. And once again, explains about the verb, and therefore it's an adverbial clause. Great. So now we're going to move on and talk about why do some of these get commas and why do some of these not. All right, so once again, we have 3 options. They can either be at the middle of the sentence, it can be at the end of the sentence, and it can be at the beginning of the sentence. And what we're going to find is where it's placed the sentence, as well as what it's actually doing in the sentence, will define whether it gets commas or whether it does not get commas. So I'm going to pause, start a brand new video, and kind of dive into the punctuation rules.